We start with a point.
Hi, it's Rob Bryanton. Welcome back, and here I am today. Jason has me done up as a ghost, and today's entry is called Do You Believe in Ghosts? It comes from a series of polls that we've been running, and you can see it over here. This is poll number 30 from the series of polls that we've been running at the 10th Dimension blog. And just a reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you want to click way over there in the description box, you can actually go to that blog, and there'll be links that you can click on within that. The poll question was, have you ever had an experience which led you to believe in ghosts or spirits of the departed that carry on after death and somehow have contact with our world? And the poll ended on December 30th, 2008. 43% of the visitors to the blog said yes, while the rest said no. This poll question relates to poll 28, which asked if visitors to the blog had ever seen a person's aura. The results for both polls were very similar in terms of percentage for yes and no, although I think it's also noteworthy that a substantially larger number of people responded to this poll question than the other. This seems to confirm that a lot of people have an opinion about what happens to us after death, while less of us have an opinion about auras. Continuing that idea, I'd like to talk about an article from a recent issue of Scientific American Mind called Never Say Die: Why We Can't Imagine Death. In a key concept summary, the editors boiled down Jesse Baring's article to these 3 points. First of all, almost everyone has a tendency to imagine the mind continuing to exist after the death of the body. Also, even people who believe the mind ceases to exist at death show this type of psychological continuity reasoning in studies. And the third point, rather than being a byproduct of religion or an emotional security blanket, such beliefs stem from the very nature of our consciousness. What does this last point mean? This is quite easy to relate to if you've ever had a general anesthetic. The surgeon asks us to count down from 10, we make it through a few numbers, and then our experience of reality just stops. Completely unlike the process of sleep, where we are still dimly aware of our surroundings and able to be roused if need be, the patient on the operating table simply has a hole in their awareness. For them, the surgery did not happen until they wake up in the recovery room. In the way of thinking that this project plays with, it's like their awareness was simply folded across the fourth dimension, creating a discontinuity where they simply jumped from the moment in space-time where they were being put under to the moment in space-time when they start to come to afterwards. Now, I'd like to quote an article from Jesse Baring's article in Scientific American Mind. Consider the rather startling fact that you will never know you have died. You may feel yourself slipping away, but it isn't as though there will be a you around who is capable of ascertaining that once all is said and done, it has actually happened. Just to remind you, you need a working cerebral cortex to harbor propositional knowledge of any sort, including the fact that you've died. And once you've died, your brain is about as phenomenally generative as a head of lettuce. In a 2007 article published in the journal Synthes, University of Arizona philosopher Sean Nichols puts it this way: when I try to imagine my own non-existence, I have to imagine that I perceive or know about my non-existence. No wonder there's an obstacle. Okay, again, that was from Scientific American Mind. The article also talks about the concept of person permanence. Something that delights babies is the surprise of playing peekaboo, and young children soon learn that the people around them continue to exist even when they can't be seen. Person permanence, then, also gives us all a deep-seated intuition that some part of a person carries on after death. In this blog, I've recommended Douglas Hofstadter's I Am a Strange Loop many times because it offers some clear-headed discussions of the patterns and connections that carry on after a loved one dies. So, there are very many logical reasons for why any of us can believe that some part of a person's spirit carries on after death, and perhaps a great many more visitors would have said yes if my question had been as simple as that. But what I was asking for was more specific than that. It's one thing to intuitively believe that some part of us carries on, and it's quite another to admit to having had a supernatural or paranormal experience which seemed to confirm that idea. Now, how many of us have heard stories like this? I remember the day Grandma died. She appeared at my window and smiled at me. The phone rang a few minutes later, telling me she was gone, and all I could say was, I know. Anyone who's had an experience like that will tell you they know for sure that there are parts of us that continue on, and all of the above dispassionate discussions about person, permanence, and consciousness will not convince them otherwise. In blog entries like Auras, Ghosts, and Pareidolia, I've talked about how these ideas can be integrated into my way of visualizing reality. Our minds are very sensitive to patterns within the noise. And personally, I have no trouble accepting the idea that parts of our consciousness exist within timelessness, connecting us all together across the space-time of the fourth dimension, the probability space of the fifth dimension, and beyond. So to close today, I'd like to finish with one of the 26 songs I've written for this project about various ideas connected to the book. And this song is called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. My name's Rob Bryanton. This is the Imagining the 10th Dimension video blog. Enjoy the journey.
It all continues flowing on, the past into tomorrow. Now I lay me down to sleep, my journey finally through. A list of things undone, unsaid, so much left to do. So what am I so afraid of? Thought this is ended. Did I try my best to be the person I intended? It's not the end of the road. It's not the end of the dream. It's just the end of a chapter. Turn the page and move on. Yeah, now I lay me down to sleep, to rest my weary head. If I should die in slumber deep, remember what I said.
Hi friends, just a reminder that you can now buy a 6 DVD set of my video blogs at 10thdimension.com/store.